You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
I'm Stephen Cabral, and I just got finished literally with about a 2.5-hour video shoot we did for an upcoming project we have coming out this September. So I know that's about a month away right now, but do stay tuned for that for post-Labor Day here in the US. We have a brand new, really easy to use system. I mean, this is a very inexpensive way to help people just to share this information in a very easy to use kind of PDF download format, because I know that not everyone's ready to do a full detox, meaning like get into our Dr. Cabral detox or even run a functional medicine based lab or, work with a nutritionist, anything like that. I understand that. So what I want to do is kind of maybe walk people up the ladder, maybe create something that's, less expensive, maybe less intimidating to get into, even though I don't think you should be intimidated. Remember, you can do this. I mean, that's the thing. Like whenever you do a detox, something like that, you can do it. Only your mind is getting in the way. That's really the big thing, because the bottom line is you're still eating every single day on something like the Dr. Cabral detox. It's not that it's that intimidating. It's just new. And anything that new can be a little bit scary. But anyway, this new project will hopefully, for those that aren't ready to take that step forward, not a big step, just a step forward, I think this will help them ease into it. And so actually, I'm just really excited to release more content, release more things that will hopefully help more and more people and just meet them where they're at in life instead of trying to make them kind of come to my level, whatever that might be. All right, let's get started on today's show, and it's our Training Thursday edition. This was actually a reader's question that I turned into a longer episode, because this is one that can really revolutionize the way you look at your training programs, your exercise programs. And the question was, how many reps should you do per exercise? So let's explain what that is. An exercise is a particular movement, like a chest press, a shoulder press, a leg press, any of those things, or a pull or a row. Okay, so that's what an exercise is. Now, a rep is short for repetitions, and repetitions just means the number of times you do that exercise. So if it's a chest press, how many times do you lying on your back, we'll say, on an exercise ball, pushing the dumbbells up and then bringing them back down? Well, every time you push it up and you bring it back down, that's one rep. Okay, so now hopefully that will help the beginners really know how to read an exercise. So an exercise is the movement that you're doing, and a rep is the number of times you're doing that movement, okay? And that's considered one set. So the amount of reps that you do for an exercise, when you finish, that's considered one set, right? Because some people might say do 2 sets or 3 sets, and that just means you do that exercise for that many reps for 3 sets. Okay, so now let's get into it. How many reps should you be doing? Well, here's your answer right here. There's essentially 4 main rep ranges. All right. Now, there are many more, and I know we can debate this all day long, but really that doesn't matter because there's only 4 main rep ranges. And when you're doing exercise, meaning like with weights or your own body weight, you're working what are called fast twitch muscle fibers for the most part. Again, predominantly fast twitch muscle fibers. That means these muscle fibers are meant to work from anywhere for like 10 seconds to about up to 90 seconds. And then after that, we start moving over to what's called the aerobic-based system. And the aerobic-based system is more slower twitch muscle fibers using a little bit more oxygen instead of lactic acid production. And again, those are just 2 energy systems of the body. But it is very important because what we're talking about, lactic acid, that's like that burning in the muscles that you get when you lift weights. Whereas where you might go for a bike ride, you could get some burning in your legs, but not enough to make you really stop, unless you might be pushing really hard up a hill. And again, you start switching over then to that anaerobic metabolism, that more of that weightlifting, fast twitch muscle fibers. So back to our question, how many reps should you be doing? Well, let's get into it right now. When you do an exercise for just 1 rep, 2 reps, or 3 reps, what you're really doing is you're actually working on what's called neurological-based strength recruitment, which means this, that, okay, you have muscles on your body. Let's talk about a squat today. Okay, so you're doing a squat, because a squat can be done in all these different ranges. When you want to lift a lot of weight, you'll do your warm-up sets, and then you'll get under a really heavy weight, and you might do your personal best, your 1 rep max. Well, what you're doing is you're actually looking to not just recruit as much muscle fiber as possible, but really push your nervous system to the max. And that means your body's ability to produce this force, or this neurological response to the stress, which is the weight on your shoulders or on your back that you're doing for your squat. Okay, so that really tests neurological strength. That means how much or how badly, how strong can your nervous system push. And we know that this is more neurological recruitment as well. And one of the best examples is this, that you can see two people, like one person literally might outweigh another person by 100 pounds in the gym, but the guy who weighs 100 pounds less can lift more than 100 pounds more, and he doesn't have more muscle. What he has is better neurological muscular recruitment, which means he gets more out of his muscles by a stronger and more primed nervous system. Okay, and again, your nervous system is just your brain telling your muscles how to react, how quickly to react, and how to I'm not going to get too complicated in this, how to move motor units, how many motor units to recruit, and how to bypass smaller ones so you can get right to those fast or those larger ones quicker. Okay, way too much science there. Let's get back on track. The next rep range is between about 5 and 8 repetitions. So this is more absolute strength. So we move from neurological recruitment to really building strength, which is usually like 5 sets of 5 reps or right around that 5 rep range. This allows your body to begin to lift heavier and heavier weights without it really exhausting itself from a lactic acid-based perspective. Okay, the next rep range after that is where a lot of people stick with, and that's between 8 and 12 repetitions. So 8 and 12 repetitions is working on what's called hypertrophy. This is essentially making the muscles grow larger. And they're growing larger in the 8 to 12 rep range from something called the sarcoplasm actually expanding or growing or becoming larger. And the sarcoplasm is essentially the fluid inside of the muscles. And it's about 70% of the volume of the muscles anyway, so it is a good way to increase the size of those muscles. And some people would also equate to the tone because the muscles do become fuller, and so they become, we'll say, more toned, even though that's kind of a paradox or oxymoron. Your muscles always have this tone to them that you just always can't see because there is body fat covering them. So we just went through 3, and now we only have 1 left. So we have the neurological recruitment, which is the 1 rep, 2 reps, or 3 reps, around the 5 to 8 rep range, but really right around that 5 is the strength-based range. Then we have the 10 to 12 rep range, 8 to 12 rep range, yes. But again, I consider the 8 like that sweet spot of both strength and hypertrophy, but I'm not going to get into that today. And then 15 to 20 repetitions is our last rep range, and that's used for what's called muscular endurance, or a way to push your muscles, really push that lactic threshold, but also start to use a little bit of oxygen in there too. And the reason is those sets of doing 15 to 20 reps can easily last 1 to 2 minutes, like no problem at all. I love those rep ranges, I really do. And I love those rep ranges for beginners. And the reason is this, you don't have to use a lot of weight. So that means your chance of getting injured goes down because you're really just focused on form and using less weight with more reps. And the larger amount of volume, like 3 sets of 15 or even 2 sets of 15, will allow you to create more volume, which is going to allow you then to put on a little bit more muscle. And if you look back to last weekend's podcast, I talked about, what's called like the holy grail of diet and exercise, right? That was episode 176, if you look into that. How it's possible to put on muscle and burn body fat at the same time. Again, really hard to do, but I explained exactly how to do that and how we have the research in both of my Boston practices now with over 200,000 one-on-one client sessions to prove that and to show that. And it works extremely well, but it only works that I've seen in around the 15 rep range. So again, great for beginners. And then remember, there's no need to be doing 5 rep ranges when you're a beginner. Why? Like you can save that for as your body develops and it gets stronger, and neurologically, you even know how to do an exercise, right? You have to learn how to squat, learn how to deadlift with a proper form before you start loading your body up with heavy weight. So hopefully that exercise helps, or that I should say that answer helps today. And my big thing is this: start at the 15 rep range, work your way down to the 8 to 12 rep range, then start to do some 5 to 8 work as your body gets more advanced. And then if ever you're going to do that 1 to 3 rep range, I hardly ever have a client do between 1 and 3 reps. I would say almost never, like legitimately almost never would I have them do that unless they are a very specified client that I'm looking to do a lot of neurological based recruitment. And that would have to be a professional athlete, maybe an NFL player that I'm working with, something like that, or someone trying to test out for a combine that I'm trying to do those specific rep ranges. But one is the chance of injury goes way up because I have to use a lot of weight for that area. And two, the actual results don't translate to a lot of body transformation, and most of the people I work with want the body transformation results. So I'm going to stay around the 5 sets of 5. I'm going to do maybe 4 sets of 8, 3 sets of 10, 3 sets of 15, right around there. So again, that's how I use my rep ranges. And the more advanced you get, you can move from 15, then to the 8 to the 12, and then down to the 5 to 8, and then eventually if you want those lower rep ranges. So hopefully that makes sense. I know this was kind of an action-packed episode with a lot more than I even thought I was going to talk about. Again, I really never know where I'm going with the episode. I do know what I'm starting out talking about, and then I just go from there. But that's the big thing is like exercise, there's just so much into it, so much you can get into it. And it's great. It's just a fantastic thing. And if you've listened to my previous Training Thursdays, please, if you haven't, check back onto those episodes because I talk about how to do a 10 rep set and then an 8 rep set and then different ways in your program that you can actually tweak these things to build better and better program design to make sure that you never plateau, to make sure that you're always getting results and that you're always transforming your body. And I really believe that that's why we were voted #1 personal trainer in the United States, is because what we're always doing is we're looking at the research, yes, but we have so much data on our own is that we're able to get clients the very best results possible because the bottom line is we have more data, we have more evidence to support it, and we're always doing what's best for our clients. And I think because of that, it allows us just to stay a little bit ahead of the curve. So again, this information, put it to good use. And if it can ever help anyone else, feel free to share this episode with them. Thanks again for tuning into another Cabral Concept.
I want to sincerely thank you for your support of this podcast. I couldn't do it without you, and I mean that. I truly do. I also want to make sure you knew that we now have multiple ways for you to find your answers to the most difficult health, wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging questions. You can find podcast-specific topics like thyroid, adrenal, hormones, sleep, digestion, Ayurveda, and many more at stephencabral.com/podcasts that will then link you to your favorite Apple, Spotify, and other podcast players. Plus, all new podcasts and weekly exclusive video content is being added to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Stephen Cabral. And that's Stephen with a PH. Head on over and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the exclusive content. Lastly, if you've ever found any of my podcasts or books to be helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a review on iTunes or your favorite media player for the podcast. Rating and subscribing to the YouTube and podcast allow me to reach more and more people and help spread my mission of healing throughout the world. Thank you again for being a part of this movement.